Denzel Washington ruled the streets with fear. But when the block turned on him, Denzel Washington's most iconic scene became a haunting fall from power. What happened next? No one saw coming. Join me till end of this video and subscribe my channel for more. The sun was setting over South Central, casting long orange shadows across the cracked sidewalks and graffiti-tagged buildings. Smoke curled from barbecue pits and distant sirens echoed like lullabies of a city that never slept. But on this particular street corner, all eyes were fixed on one man, Detective Alonzo Harris, wearing his signature black leather coat and gold chain. Alonzo didn't just walk, he owned the pavement beneath his boots. Kids stopped their bikes. Grown men looked down. Women whispered from balconies. He wasn't just a cop. He was the law here, or at least that's what he believed. He stepped out of his black Monte Carlo, engine still purring like a beast waiting to bite. Cigarette in his mouth, sunglasses reflecting the burning sky. He stared down a group of young gang members loitering outside the corner store. His stride was slow, heavy with arrogance, and when he spoke, the entire block listened. "You think you run this neighborhood? I put half your uncles in prison and gave the other half a pass. Y'all live here 'cause I let you." There was silence. A silence filled not with fear, but with resentment. Alonzo had been untouchable for too long. Skating above justice, bending rules, trading favors, burning bridges, and laughing as they fell behind him. But something in the air had changed. Respect had started turning into anger, and anger turns into action. As he stood there, swagger thick as smoke, a car pulled up slowly. Then another. Doors opened, and more men emerged from shadows and street corners. Not kids, not punks. Soldiers, the kind who had long memories and quiet codes. Alonzo raised his voice now, ego boiling over into fury. "Y'all gonna do this to me? I'm the one who kept your brothers off death row. I'm the one who fed this block. I made you." No one answered. He pulled out his pistol, waving it high like a badge. "King Kong ain't got asterisk on me." Asterisk, asterisk. It was a roar of defiance, a man still clinging to his throne while the kingdom crumbled beneath him. But in the silence that followed, something cracked. And for the first time in years, Alonzo Harris looked like a man, not a god. The air around Alonzo felt heavier now. The circle had tightened. The gangsters, some holding phones, others just watching with cold detachment, had stopped looking at him like a god. Now they looked at him like a liability. He spun in place, eyes darting from face to face, trying to read them like he always had. But something had changed in their eyes. No fear, just patience. The kind that says, "We've waited long enough." Alonzo gritted his teeth. "You really think I won't put you all down? You think I won't pull this trigger?" His pistol shook. Slightly, a small tremor that wasn't there before. It wasn't rage, it was doubt. Somewhere in his gut, he felt it. The control he once wielded like a blade was now dull. "I cleaned up this whole damn block," he yelled, voice cracking. Just enough to betray the desperation underneath. "I kept the feds out. I kept your sisters safe." Still, no one moved. No one answered. A voice finally rose, calm and cutting, from an older man in the back, one Alonzo once used as an informant. "You didn't clean it. You just swept the dirt under someone else's door," the crowd murmured. The words cut. Deeper than any bullet. Alonzo's jaw clenched. He looked up toward the apartment balconies. People were recording now. Not just kids, mothers, uncles, workers in uniforms. The same people he used to protect or threaten. Now they just watched. "You can't do this," he said again, softer. "You know who I am. You know what I've done." Another voice answered from the crowd, a younger man this time. "Yeah, we do. That's exactly why it's over." That was the moment it hit him. He was alone. The department had distanced itself. The favors had run dry. The street code no longer shielded him. And now, here he stood, outnumbered, outgunned, and worst of all, out of time. His breath slowed. For the first time in years, Alonzo felt something cold creeping down his spine, the weight of his own legacy pressing back. Not judgment, not regret. The crowd didn't flinch. No bullets were fired. No one lunged. But what happened next cut deeper than any ambush. They turned their backs, one by one. Without a word, the men who once feared him walked away. Some entered buildings. Others climbed into idling cars. A few just disappeared into the night. No threats, no warnings. Just silence. Alonzo stood alone in the middle of the street, still holding his gun, but it might as well have been a paperweight. The adrenaline had nowhere to go now. His breathing slowed, ragged, his eyes darted from face to face and found no allies. No audience. Just witnesses. He lowered the pistol. His hand trembled as he clicked the safety back on. For the first time in years, he looked small. A passing car's headlights lit his face for just a second, and in that second, everything showed: exhaustion, regret, pride, shame, fear. He turned and walked toward his car. Each step heavier than the last. Inside the Monte Carlo, he didn't start the engine. He just sat, his hands, once so steady, now gripped the steering wheel like it might float away. On the dashboard was a photo, his son, 8 years old. A birthday photo with cake on his face and no idea who his father really was. Alonzo stared at it. He couldn't remember the last time they spoke without anger between them. Outside, rain began to fall, light at first, then harder. The kind of rain that tries to clean a city, but some stains run too deep. He looked in the rearview mirror and barely recognized the man looking back. "What did I become?" he whispered. There was no answer. Just the hiss of rain on metal, and the haunting knowledge that power borrowed always comes with a debt. In that silence, something cracked, not outside, but within. The mask he had worn for years. Detective, king, protector, tyrant, it crumbled. And all that remained was a man. Just a man. Sitting in the wreckage of his own legend. The rain beat down harder now, streaking across the windshield in thick lines. Alonzo still hadn't turned the ignition. The city kept moving outside, but in his car, time stood still. He pulled out. His burner phone, thumb hovering over the contacts. Most names were long gone, some dead, some locked up. Some just stopped answering years ago. He scrolled down slowly and paused. One name, he hadn't dialed her in 2 years. His ex. The mother of his son. The only person who ever knew him before the street wore him down to the man he'd become. He hesitated. Then, almost against his own will, pressed call. It rang once. Twice. "Hello?" Her voice was soft, cautious. Alonzo didn't speak right away. "Hey, it's me." A pause. "You okay?" she asked, wary. "No," he said honestly. "Not even close." There was silence. She didn't hang up. "I was just thinking about Darnell, about his birthday last week." Another pause. "I wasn't there." "No," she said. "You weren't." He breathed deep, voice low. "I wanted to be." She didn't reply right away. The rain filled the space between them like static. "Why are you really calling, Alonzo?" He closed his eyes, feeling every word before he said it. "Because I might not make it through tonight. And I didn't want him to think I didn't care. I just didn't know how to be both the man I needed to be out there and the father he needed at home." Her breath caught. A small crack in her composure. "He doesn't need a king," she said quietly. "He just needs a man who loves him." His throat tightened. "I'm sorry." It was the first time in years those words left his mouth, and maybe, just maybe, he meant them. The call ended without fanfare, no dramatic goodbye. Just the kind of silence that follows when something real has been said for once. Alonzo leaned back in his seat. For the first time, he didn't feel like fighting. He felt human. The rain had stopped. The streets, slick with reflection, shimmered under flickering streetlights. Alonzo sat motionless in the front seat of his Monte Carlo, the photograph of his son now resting on the dashboard. His hand hovered above it, not touching, just looking, like maybe by staring long enough he could freeze time, but time wasn't waiting. Blue and red lights began to flash in the distance. Not one car, not two. 5 black SUVs, unmarked but unmistakable. The quiet hum of their engines broke the early morning calm. They rolled in from both ends of the block like vultures closing in on a carcass that didn't know it was dead yet. Alonzo didn't flinch. He stepped out of the car slowly, coat clinging to his frame, his shoes echoing against the wet asphalt. No gun in hand this time. No badge flashed. Just a man standing under a streetlight with empty hands and tired eyes. Federal agents emerged silently. No shouts, no weapons raised. Everyone knew who he was. And more importantly, they knew what he had done. He looked at them all, one by one. "You took your time," he muttered. A young agent approached, handcuffs ready. "We wanted to give you a chance to run. And we knew you wouldn't." Alonzo turned his wrists over willingly, the cold steel snapping shut like punctuation at the end of a long, brutal sentence. He didn't protest, didn't speak. Again, as they walked him toward the van, neighbors watched from behind curtains, some with pity, some with relief, a few with quiet satisfaction. The king had finally been dethroned. He glanced up at the balcony where years ago he'd helped deliver groceries for an old woman who was later evicted after refusing to cooperate with his dirty cases. He saw nothing now. Just a cracked window and the ghosts of his own decisions. Before he was placed in the van, he looked over his shoulder one last time, at the street he once ruled. It didn't look back. And just like that, Alonzo Harris disappeared behind the tint of a federal cruiser, not with gunfire or glory, but with the silence of justice finally fulfilled. Weeks passed. The news had a brief flurry of headlines. Decorated narcotics officer arrested in corruption probe. His face was on every screen for a moment, then gone, replaced by newer scandals, louder chaos, fresher blood. But the neighborhood remembered without Alonzo's looming presence. The streets breathed differently. The weight of constant fear had lifted. Kids rode their bikes further now. Mothers gathered outside again. The liquor store still buzzed, but the tension had eased. Yet, not everyone felt safer. Some missed the illusion of protection Alonzo provided. For all his corruption, he had kept worse wolves at bay. But that protection had come at a cost: fear, silence, and the unspoken rule that you only speak when you're told. Now there was something more uncertain, but also more honest. Inside a community center 3 blocks from where Alonzo had been arrested, a new initiative had begun. Young men from the neighborhood sat in folding chairs, listening to a former gang member talk about second chances. A woman led a workshop on how to handle encounters with law enforcement. There were books, not weapons. Dialogue, not intimidation. One of the kids raised his hand. Wasn't this where Alonzo used to run his informants? The speaker nodded. Yeah, but this space belongs to us now. Meanwhile, in a prison 2 counties away, Alonzo sat in a gray jumpsuit, counting days, not plotting, not raging. Just thinking. Letters from his son came once a month. Short at first, guarded, but then longer. Questions, drawings, even a photo from a school play. Alonzo taped that photo to the wall. Beside his bunk, he read every word a dozen times. "I told my teacher my dad used to be a cop. She asked if you were a good one. I said, sometimes." No jury had said more, and that single word, sometimes, held more pain than any sentence the court could give, but it also held something else, because while Alonzo Harris had ruled with fear, what remained after him was a choice: to either repeat his legacy or rebuild something better. And in that forgotten corner of the city, with all its cracks and wounds, something fragile but powerful began to grow.